This is the season that Dan and I have been anticipating from the very beginning.
We're still casting more than we're killing. There are a lot of tremendous new characters we're very excited about coming forward. Lady Olenna, played by the amazing Diana Rigg, and there's a lot of new faces this year, as well as all the old faces.
It is my honor to present my grandmother, the Lady Olenna of House Tyrell. Olenna is the matriarch of the Tyrell family. She's in charge, and you're not in any doubt the minute you meet her.
She's very forceful. She doesn't mince her words. She's witty, which always is fun to play.
I don't care what people believe, and neither do you.
As an authority on myself, I must disagree.
It sort of goes without saying that the men aren't worth as much. I haven't got half the brain cells in the Tyrell family that the women do.
Loris is young and very good at knocking men off horses with a stick. That does not make him wise. She doesn't think too highly of them, men in general, in fact. She thinks the world would be better if it were run by women.
I think the audience will see her as a kind of female equivalent to Tywin Lannister.
She is the driving force of the whole family. It's going to be very interesting seeing what her presence in King's Landing brings to the whole dynamic of Game of Thrones.
Do you have a name?
This one's name is Missandei, Your Grace.
She's Krasnis, the slave master for the Unsullied's right-hand girl.
Master Krasnis says you cannot afford this.
She's incredibly intelligent and can speak every language under the sun. And Dany sees how useful she'll be, but also sees, I think, a lot of herself in her and can kind of see that it's a young girl who's capable of much more than the position she's in.
Missandei's very clever. She's very intelligent and she's a good girl. She's a kind, gentle one.
Valar Morghulis. All men must die. But we are not men.
Yeah, girl power. It's kind of been our themes throughout the scenes. We've been like, promoting the girl power a little bit. So.
Don't look so grim, Jon Snow. Man's really likes you. You'll live another day.
The person that he's expecting to meet is mean and fierce and deadly, and the person he actually meets is all those things, but in a much more intelligent fashion.
Mance Rayder is somebody who comes from a similar background to Jon in a way. He was an orphan where Jon was a bastard. He was also a member of the Night's Watch who gave up the Black for a different way of living.
Why do you want to join us, Jon Snow?
Know your enemy gives you a big advantage in any fight. So Mance is perhaps the most dangerous king beyond the wall to arise for hundreds of years. And he's arisen just at the time when the Night's Watch is at the weakest.
You know how I got 90 clans to march together in the same army? I told them we were all going to die if we don't get south. Because that's the truth.
Mance, who was one of the Night's Watchmen, has now gone over the wall, and he's gone to the side of the Wildlings, which are kind of like a scattered tribe of people, and he's trying to unite them all because he knows that there's a bigger enemy.
This chicken eater you thought was king is Tormund Giantsbane.
Tormund is a larger-than-life figure. He's one of the leaders of the Free Folk. He was one of the people that Mance had to subdue because he was not a man who listened to anybody. And Mance managed to win his allegiance, and Tormund has been one of his most loyal lieutenants, so to speak, ever since.
The funny thing is that Jon Snow thinks that I'm Mance Rayder. I'm mocking Mance Rayder because I look more kingly than him. But Tormund finds a great liking in Jon Snow, becomes fond of him. That's how Tormund is, He goes for the gut feeling.
I like it, boy. But if you lie to me, I'll pull your guts out through your throat.
They quite like each other. They respect each other. He likes people not being scared of him.
He's no crow.
Just because you want him inside you, don't make him one of us.
Orell, he doesn't believe Jon at all, and he's making life pretty uneasy on him. We are the bad cop and the good cop.
Of anyone that Jon's met through this series, the person he wants to put a sword through most is Orell.
What's wrong with him?
He's a warg,
He is a wildling walk, which means he can put his consciousness into the consciousness of an animal. The animal that I can do that with is an eagle. And so I can then go on reconnaissance flights and then report back.
Not another step, boy. I'm unarmed. My sister carries the weapons. Jojen comes to kind of help explain what's happening to Bran. You can get inside his head.
Only when I'm asleep.
Well, that's how it begins until you learn to control it.
He's starting to try and control his dream, but that's what he needs Jojen for, to teach him.
He gets called a little grandfather because even though he's kind of young and kind of slender, he seems very kind of wise and old.
Isn't he ashamed, your brother, needing you to protect him?
Some people will always need help. That doesn't mean they're not worth helping.
Osha, I think her relationship with the Reeds and particularly Mira is quite prickly at first. They're from very different kind of worlds. They're very suspicious of each other. It's funny because they're very similar in a lot of ways. For instance, Osha and Mira are both looking after these, young boys with the sight, and they're both kind of very protective of them.
Robb tells Catelyn they will be travelling to Riverrun, which is their family seat. Once they're there, she reacquaints herself with her uncle Blackfish and her brother Edmure.
People had been calling me Blackfish for so long, they don't remember my real name. I'm called Blackfish, and I'm covered with scales. I would describe the Blackfish, first of all, as being a hugely experienced warrior. I think he's fought in every possible situation. He's hugely respected by other men and other warriors. But he's also a man committed to his responsibilities within family. Don't call him nephew. He's your king.
Blackfish understands I've been elected king amongst my men, and I must have done something right for so many men to have followed me into battle, and I think the Blackfish understands that, and there's a level of respect.
I meant him no disrespect. You're lucky I'm not your king. I wouldn't let you wave your blunders around like a victory flag.
Edmure is younger than Cat or Lysa and was the little baby in the family for a long time, and to a certain extent was spoiled, coming along late as he did. And he's still trying to prove himself.
I would describe Edmure as being an extremely irritating human being. Constantly lets me down, the family down. On the face of it, he's a tall, straight-back, soldierly-looking guy who messes up quite a lot.
I'm sorry. I didn't know. He's sort of outgoing character. He's sort of quick to temper, quick to humour, but maybe not the most sort of contemplative character. So, yeah, he tends to get himself in some hot water.
Who are you?
Thoros of Myr,
Who do you fight for?
the Brotherhood without banners.
He is a Red Priest. He was a kind of cynical member of the clergy who went through the motions but didn't believe it, and then something miraculous happened. And he's a firm believer. Brotherhood without banners, well, they stand out in the context of the series just because they're kind of good guys. They care about the people and they care about the atrocities that are being committed and want to do something about it, and so their intentions are really honourable.
The Lords of Westeros want to burn the countryside. We're trying to save it.
And they come from all sorts of backgrounds, and they've there's Stark deserters, Baratheon deserters, and Tanners, and they're a kind of hodgepodge. And Beric is our leader.
Beric Dondarrion, you're fighting for ghosts.
That's what we are. Ghosts. Waiting for you in the dark. You can't see us, but we see you.
These guys live up in a cave. They're guerrilla fighters. They come out and they strike like lightning. Any oppressive force that is in the land, they'll go out and teach them a lesson.
But the night is dark and full of terrors.
We're very excited about the way that New Blood shakes up the picture and changes things for the people who we've already come to know and love.
I remember saying, if we ever got this far, if we ever actually could make this into a series, and if we ever got far enough to get to these scenes, I could die happy. And here we are, we finally made it.